Right, let me bring you in, Eugene, General Manager of Petra. You know it. I mean, from where you sit, you see the bigger picture than most of us because of your work every day. But for many people at home, this is tough for them, really. Like I say, on social media, I know I've seen people share how they've had to take their children from one school to the other, how they've had to cut down on a certain snack, how some of them have decided to sell off items that, usually will be fun items for their children and all that. Eugene, can you share real practical ways with us on how to minimize the impact of what is happening around us, even on the home, in terms of how much I earn, how much I spend? What can I do to make this more bearable for my family?
Hello, thank you very much. Good morning to your listeners. And thank you very much for the question. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great, great. Thank you. So that's an interesting question, and undoubtedly, we're all going through a very tough time. To be honest, when you go through the various strata, everybody is dealing with it. I mean, there are CEOs that are struggling with how to keep up with payments for their staff. There are people that are having to reduce their salaries and people that are having to go home. But I believe when these uncertain and risky times come up, you sort of go back to the basics, and it will be important to have some sort of a plan. You look at the Maslow's theory of needs, and you start with your physiological needs, your food, your shelter. I mean, the basic things, right? And it will be good for parents to sort of keep ahead of that curve. You don't want to be hit by surprises. So what is your plan when it comes to making sure that there's food on the table? Sometimes the thing that we get a little lost about is that we end up sort of trying to keep our power, keep our faces, like Phoebe was sharing, and my other panelists, and end up, oh, we still have to do what we have to do. I mean, I'm not going to let my kids suffer. I'm going to make sure that their home is okay. But there are other choices that you could make to minimize this impact, right? So, I mean, if you were buying some almond milks that was a little bit expensive, you should start looking at some other options, right? And make sure that those basic needs are being met by what you have and what you can afford to have. Now, when it comes to the earnings part, there's so much uncertainty. You don't know what happens. I mean, you could go to work and they say, listen, the way things are going, we're going to have to let you go. And all these things are uncertainties and they are risks that are hitting us. And you need to sort of take a longer look. So I advise that people just tone down to the minimal times. From everything that we hear from government, from financial aspect, there's nothing certain, to be honest. And so you don't want to feel overconfident. And so tone down to the barest minimum and just try to keep ahead of the curve by having a plan for the basic needs, by having a plan on how you're going to take care of the things that fall due. And unfortunately, some of these financial plans are not just things that you switch off because of the family needs, right? You can't just get up in the morning and say, hey, I can't drop you off at school anymore. I can't afford it. It needs to be some sort of a process, and it needs to fit into some plan that is a smooth over. And one of the things that I tell people about is, I mean, investments and markets go through waves. It's a wave pattern. It rises and it falls. And as these things happen, a lot of the things that we lose on our side of the world is we lose a long-term plan, and then we just favor what we are going through now. Unfortunately, this will be over. And so how do you make sure that your long-term plan of getting out of debt or getting out of poverty still stays alive? And you must almost keep all these things in some sort of a balance as you go along, right? So somebody who completely stop their investments. I was doing some treasury bills. I was just trying to put some small monies away. Now I just want to make sure that I have enough money stashed to take care of the things. But you realize that as you get out of this, which we eventually will, you've sort of lost that long-term plan. And so you need to keep some sort of a balance between the two, depending on your situation. So you work through the theory of needs from the basic needs and make sure that you keep ahead of the game.